Say like, no, that's two more weight classes. Like once he gets touched by Canelo, it's gonna be different.
I am concerned about him absorbing a Canelo.
Boxing professionals are sounding the alarm, urging Terence Crawford to avoid stepping into the ring with Canelo Alvarez. The consensus is that Crawford, despite his immense talent, would be facing an uphill battle against the Mexican powerhouse, especially given the significant weight disparity between the two fighters. This concern has been voiced by several notable figures in the boxing community, including Teofimo Lopez, who believes that Crawford's best move would be to steer clear of a showdown with Canelo. Lopez, known for his sharp analysis and candid opinions, didn't mince words when discussing the potential matchup. "Age is catching up to Crawford," Lopez said. "I would love to get Crawford now before it catches up to him later on. All I can say now is, let's see what he does next. I don't think he should fight Canelo. I think he should fight the guy that is coming up next." Lopez's advice is rooted in a deep understanding of the sport, recognizing that moving up 2 weight classes, as Crawford would have to do, poses significant risks, especially when facing someone like Canelo, who has a reputation for delivering devastating punches. Crawford's recent fight against Israel Madov, a rising star from Uzbekistan, only fueled the debate. Many expected Crawford's junior middleweight debut to be relatively straightforward, but Madov pushed him to his limits, turning what should have been a routine victory into a nail-biter. This unexpected challenge has led to further scrutiny of Crawford's potential to succeed against Canelo, a much larger and more experienced fighter. Eddie Hearn, one of the most influential promoters in boxing, was particularly outspoken following the Crawford-Madov bout. Hearn was outraged by the judge's decision, especially Fernando Vel's scorecard, which awarded Crawford a 116-112 victory. Hearn, Madov's promoter, felt that Crawford didn't do enough to secure a convincing win. "It's a waste of time," Hearn said bluntly. "It's not a 116-112 fight. Madov was in the fight. He was coming into the fight as a champion, but because he's fighting Terence Crawford, he doesn't get a fair shake." All of the effective punches were coming from Israel Madov. Hearn's frustration was palpable, and it's easy to see why. Madov, despite his inexperience, was able to push Crawford to the brink, raising serious questions about Crawford's ability to handle someone like Canelo. The Mexican fighter is known for his power and relentless style, and if Madov could cause Crawford so much trouble, what could Canelo do? Sean Porter, a former opponent of Crawford, has also weighed in on the potential fight. Porter is someone who understands Crawford's abilities better than most, having shared the ring with him in a fiercely contested bout. However, even Porter expressed concern about Crawford moving up to face Canelo. In a conversation with Marcos Villegas of Fight Hub TV, Porter admitted that he was worried about Crawford's ability to absorb Canelo's punches over the course of 12 rounds. "I am concerned about him absorbing a Canelo punch, especially through the course of 12 rounds, Porter confessed. He suggested that Canelo would likely come out aggressively, trying to overwhelm Crawford early in the fight. Porter predicted that Canelo would try to bang on Crawford and break him down before the later rounds, where Crawford's superior stamina might give him an advantage. Porter's analysis is rooted in his understanding of both fighters. He knows that Canelo tends to slow down as fights progress, but he also recognizes the significant power disparity between them. Canelo would try to start fast and bang on him and break him down before he gets later and still has that kind of steam, Porter explained. However, he also acknowledged the complexity of predicting a winner in such a matchup, noting that many factors go into making a champion. Since his bout with Crawford last year, Errol Spence Jr. has been noticeably absent from the ring, fueling speculation about his future. Spence had the option to trigger a rematch clause with Crawford, but decided against it. Whether this was due to a need for more preparation or a diminishing sense of hope, it's clear that Spence recognizes the immense challenge that Crawford presents. In a tweet from TalkSport editor Michael Benson, Spence spoke about a potential fight between Crawford and Canelo. "If Crawford wants to challenge himself to be great, let him try to be great. I'm with it," Spence said. As for who he thinks would win, Spence added, "I'd be going for Bud. I don't know if he'd win or lose, but if anybody can pull it off, he can." Despite the concerns from other boxers and commentators, Terence Crawford continues to entertain the idea of a high-profile showdown with Canelo Alvarez. Fresh off his victory over Israel Madov, which marked his debut in the 154-pound division, Crawford seems keen on testing himself against the best. But the victory over Madoff was anything but easy. Madoff pushed Crawford harder than any opponent in recent memory, raising doubts about Crawford's ability to step up to super middleweight, where Canelo reigns supreme. Eddie Hearn, who has a keen eye for matchmaking, was quick to dismiss the idea of Crawford fighting Canelo. "He can't fight at 168, Hearn said. The trouble he had against Madoff wasn't necessarily because of the size. It was a little bit because of that, but it was also because of the movement. He can't fight at 168. Canelo would mow through him. He should try and fight the big names at 154. Hearn's assessment is rooted in the realities of the sport. Moving up in weight isn't just about packing on pounds, it's about adapting to a new level of power and physicality. Canelo, who has fought as high as light heavyweight, would have a significant size and strength advantage over Crawford, who only recently moved up to 154 pounds. On August 3rd, Terence Crawford extended his flawless professional record to 41-0 with a decisive victory over Israel Madoff for the WBA super welterweight title, marking Madoff's first career loss. Despite his success, Crawford faces a daunting challenge if he decides to pursue a fight with Canelo. The weight disparity alone is enough to give pause, but Madoff's performance also highlighted areas where Crawford might struggle against a fighter of Canelo's caliber. Turki Alalshik, the promoter of the Madoff-Crawford card, has expressed interest in seeing Crawford face off against Canelo in late 2024 or early 2025. After his victory over Madoff, Crawford didn't shy away from discussing the possibility of fighting Alvarez, saying, "You know what I say, if the money's right, we've got to fight." However, he also acknowledged that Canelo has his own fights to focus on. The potential showdown between Terence Crawford and Saul Canelo Alvarez is tantalizing, but it's far from a sure thing. Canelo must first honor his upcoming bout with Edgar Berlanga on September 14th. After that, the door could be open for a matchup that would undoubtedly excite boxing fans. However, the challenges posed by the weight difference cannot be ignored. Israel Madoff, reflecting on his loss to Crawford, also expressed doubts about Crawford's ability to compete at super middleweight. "I don't know, it depends on what weight they fight at," Madoff said when asked about a potential matchup between Crawford and Canelo. "But if they fight in Canelo's current weight class, then I think it will be very difficult for Crawford because he's huge." Despite acknowledging Crawford's talent and power, Madoff was clear that the size difference would be a significant hurdle. Crawford's trainer, Brian McIntyre, has also weighed in on the potential fight. McIntyre, known for his strategic acumen, emphasized the need for Crawford to be in peak physical condition if he's going to face Canelo. "Get them legs in shape, man, because you're going to have to move," McIntyre said. "You're going to have side-to-side movement with Canelo." McIntyre's concerns are valid. Canelo is a fighter who knows how to cut off the ring and deliver punishing blows. Despite these concerns, Crawford has always been a fighter who defies conventional wisdom. At 36, he stands on the cusp of becoming the focal point of the sport, and a showdown with Canelo could solidify that status. However, if Alvarez decides not